Synopsis, and today we are having a different situation. We are going to talk about the difference between posters and notice. So I hope you have a lesson ahead of you. So stay tuned and listen to this. In case you have any questions, don't fail to drop your comments at the comment section. So let's proceed, and we are starting with posters. So if somebody asks you what a poster is, what do you think you'll say? I believe a poster is an enlarged write-up that is strategically placed in an effort to inform people about a certain event. It may be a football match, it may be a condition like an illness that has struck, or maybe you are stopping people from doing some things. Yeah, so most places where we find posters include the following. We might find posters on vehicles. I know you've taken a ride to any city in whichever country you are, and so you see posters all over the vehicles. Sometimes you find them on advertisement boards. Have you ever gone into a certain town? Let's say if you're in Kenya, you've gone to Kisumu, you've been in Eldoret, you've been at Kitale, and any other town. Therefore, you'll obviously see some advertisement boards, and whatever is being shown there, it's a poster. There are times you find it on walls, right? Especially when people maybe are buying for posts, there are crusades and such events. Then we normally find that we have posters all over the places. In schools or institutions, you find posters on notice boards, strategically placed because maybe there's a certain information that is being passed across to the audience. Go to bus stops in whichever country you are and you'll find posters. Now I want to give you the features of a poster. In case you are asked to write a poster or you have a duty to write it in whichever field, it's not only in school by the way, you could be asked to do this out in churches or in other institutions where you work. So you'll have to ensure that your poster is very attractive. The coloring aspect, the graphics matter a lot in a poster. It must be very clear enough so that everybody can understand what you're talking about. Then, do not have too much detail. It should be brief. Yeah? You are focused to pass a certain message, and that's what we want to see exactly. It must be well written. Now, when we say well written, it might be very funny for somebody to read your poster and find grammatical mistakes. Be aware about the pronouns, yeah? If you are talking about maybe a noun or a specific verb, spell it correctly. You know, this makes it credible. You know what I mean? The next thing is you should be using a morally acceptable language within your poster. There is a morally acceptable language in every setting, and therefore that is expected of you. A poster should also contain the relevant information. Yeah, there is that relevant information you want to pass across to the audience, and it must be actually shown. Now I'm going to show you an example of a poster. Just take your time and look at it and see whether you can understand what I'm talking about here. Yeah, so let me show you one of the posters targeting at a school, advertising a cultural day. I'll just flip over so that I'm not showing my face, but I'm showing you the example of a poster. Yeah, let's go. All right, so I hope you're seeing that school. It's indicated there. We are having an invitation, and then we have the bold aspect to make it attractive. In case you're doing it for the external audience, of course, you have to color differently. The word venue might be green, time might be red, then date might be a different color. You might use italics plus bold, and then we have specific people who are indicating the message itself. Now, the next thing I'll talk about is a notice. As I indicated at the beginning, I told you that I'm going to talk about poster and notice. So let's go to the notice. I'll flip again back to my face, so stay tuned. As we look at the notice, a notice, unlike the poster, is a kind of an announcement, instructions, or appeals that are intended to reach a large number of audience. Now, unlike the poster, this is just aimed to communicate a certain message. Now, where do we find them? We find them in dailies. we have areas where you want to capture the audience, possibly a very large group, and sometimes you'll find them on a notice board. No wonder some people confuse this with a poster. Now, what should we expect in a good public notice? We should see the source. Who is it coming from, right? You can simply say who, then you indicate whoever is writing this. The next thing we expect is the heading notice. It must be there because it's actually attracting the attention of the audience. It makes them look at whatever you're writing. It should be eye-catching, of course. It can be bold or capital with the exclamation marks. The next thing is you must be very brief. Again, we don't want to bore the audience, so you be brief enough. Now, there are other aspects about a notice that I must share so that you do not confuse it with a public notice. The fact that you are considering the content, like you are telling us who, where, when, maybe if there are charges for, let's say there's a show, then you are telling us how much should they pay. Sometimes you may consider decoratives, but it's not a must. Now I'm going to show you a simple notice here. Now remember, a notice, unlike a poster, it's not necessarily having a frame. In some cases, of course, we'll have it, but once we have the word notice, that indicates that you know. Azam, hello, how are you? I wish to know where you're coming from. I'm so happy you're on board and live. We have many other live, but they have not introduced themselves, but I'm so happy that you're on board. Yeah, so let's proceed. I'm going to again flip the screen so that I show you the example of my notice. Okay, you're telling me, you're asking, no, I'm from Africa. Yeah, so Sarah Batten, you're asking how old is Sigma of you? Oh, I'm not in that light currently, so I'll be talking about what I'm covering, then I can come to that later. Oh, you retracted the message? I know that it must have been, a mistake. Okay, so let me proceed to show you an example of a notice, and after that we can talk more about other aspects. Yeah, so look here. I have an example of a notice. Hola Reality, that is who has written it. Then we can see the date, when was it written, from who to who, and the contact information. Now the notice has to inform us what exactly you want. So in this we have, this is to notify you, the tenant of the resident on address aforementioned, that the landlord has decided not to renew for the third term your residence lease. Yeah, so you get the message of what? Yeah, and that is expiring on April 08, 2030. The landlord has been receiving offers for purchase from prospective buyers, which requires such lease termination. So the reason why. Please consider this as your 60th day notice to take the appropriate actions in vacating the property. Then we highly appreciate your satisfactory behavior during your tenancy, and we apologize for any inconvenience. Respectively, then we have details again from the company. I'll show you another example from the other part so that you have two examples to refer from. Now this example here, yeah, you can see it's about a club. So who, we can actually see the word notice very clear. Yeah, the club meeting, on when it's indicated, where, what time is it starting, then conditions, and then we have the person in charge signing. Azam, oh, you've indicated you're from Indonesia. I'm so appreciative you're watching from there. You are asking something about I'm pretty, don't know why. So what exactly are you trying to say, Azam? Let me get it clearly. Sarah Betam, you still understand your message that you retracted. How is Sigma Ohio? I'm not in Sigma Ohio, so I actually want to finish the comparison of a public notice and a poster. Let me flip back to this. Alright, so the difference comes out clearly here. I hope you heard this, that a poster refers to an advertisement kind of an announcement displayed in public places. It is talking about a decorative print or a picture that is displayed on a wall, and it has details that are educative or informative, right? The other thing that we must notice is that a poster is primarily for advertising, decoration, or educational purposes, while a notice is for a formal communication or announcement. Again, when we come to content, the poster has images and graphics. When you go to a notice, we have text-based and legal or technical language used. Placement. Where do we place a poster? Posters come so much on walls and visible surfaces. I've mentioned several. And when it comes to notice, we usually post it on designated areas, and they are sent sometimes directly to recipients. I'm in Kenya. Azam, I'm in Kenya. Yeah, so you come to Tone. Posters will be very creative, persuasive, informative, whereas notices will just be formal and straightforward, right? And I think you saw from the examples I shared there. Now, when you come to similarity, the reason why many people confuse the two, you realize that both of them are written in printed communication most times, and they are displayed in public places. The other thing is that they normally convey information or messages to target audience. And both of them are used for advertisement and promotional purposes. Then they inform or warn people about something. So you saw from the two examples, one of them was from a club informing about a debate. Then there was this about a notice from a landlord informing the tenants about a lease that had come to an end. When you saw the example of a poster, of course the poster I showed you was targeting, let me just check so that I'm not going to give you false information. It was again from a given institution, right? And it was informing us about a cultural day, yeah, giving us details about everything. So if you still have any questions about the difference between poster and notice, feel free to ask, because these are examinable areas, and again they apply to our day-to-day life. Every day as we practice whatever you're doing, you're in business, you are involved in events, then most times you'll tend to write posters and notice. So stay tuned, and I'm very appreciative for those who came live, because you make my life very, engaging. As you pop in, you greet, you inform me about other places. And I don't know, Sarah Batten, why did you talk about Sigma Ohio? I would wish to know details about this place. Indonesia, I really hear such places and I'm like, oh my God, I should get to these places. Azam. Yeah, so I hope one day, one time, I'll get there and see what I have never maybe encountered. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that this was an informative session. Bye-bye for now. Let's stay tuned another time and meet for more discussions. Thank you.